All right, welcome to our lesson on parallel and perpendicular lines. You should have notes for this right in your packet. So we're going to start with kind of the definition for our parallel and perpendicular. You probably will remember this from last year. Parallel lines are lines that have the same slope. So whatever the equation of the line is, the slope, m, is going to be exactly the same. So in our two examples here, what's the slope of a line parallel to y equals negative 3x plus 5? Well, it's going to have a slope of negative 3. So it's running in exactly the same direction. It's climbing at the exact same rate. It just happens to go through the y-axis at a different point. So a slope of a line that's parallel to y equals 2/5 x minus 9. Well, we're going to take that slope, and that's going to be the slope of our parallel line. So if they are parallel, their slope is identical. It's exactly the same. It's just different y-intercept. So it's just crossing the y-axis at a different point. Perpendicular lines are a little trickier because they're heading in a completely different direction. They're going, instead of going up, they're going down or vice versa. So they are going to have opposite and reciprocal slopes. So you're going to switch the sign, that's the opposite, and you're going to flip it. You're going to invert that fraction, that's our reciprocal. So we want a line that's perpendicular to one that has a slope of negative 1/3. So instead of negative, it's going to be positive. Instead of 3 over 1, it's going to be 1 over 3 is equal to my slope. So you're going to flip the fraction and you're going to switch the sign because it's going to be heading in the opposite direction. So one that is 2/5, well, I'm going to flip it 5/2, but instead of positive, it's going to become negative. And that's going to be my slope for that perpendicular line. So parallel is going to have exact same slope, just a different y-intercept. If it's perpendicular, we're going to switch the sign and we're going to flip the slope. We're going to flip the fraction to find the new slope for that perpendicular line. So let's see if we can put this into action. So if the original slope is a over b, for my parallel one, it's also going to be a over b. It's the exact same slope. For my perpendicular, I'm going to flip it, so b over a, and I'm going to switch the sign, so it's going to become negative. So m equals negative 2. So my parallel slope is also going to be negative 2. My perpendicular, instead of negative, is going to be positive. Instead of 2 over 1, it's going to be 1 over 2. So take a minute, think about those next couple, and then hit play again and then see if you got the same thing as me. All right, so for this one, I would also have a slope of 2/3 because it's the exact same slope. For my perpendicular, I'm going to flip the fraction and I'm going to switch the sign. All right, for my original slope of 0, my parallel slope is also going to be 0. So think a horizontal line. So you can almost think of it as like 0 over 1. But here, if I were to flip it and change the sign, I'd get negative 1 over 0. Remember, I can't divide by 0. So this is going to be my undefined. It's going to be that vertical line. So the trick is, I know my slope was 0. My perpendicular is not also going to be 0 because that would be the exact same line. It's got to be heading in the opposite direction, so the 0 is going to be in the denominator, which makes it an undefined slope. All right, bottom little part of this page. So same thing, now it's in equation form. We want to know A, what's the slope if it's going to be parallel, and what's the slope if it's going to be perpendicular. So my slope is negative 4/5, so that's going to be my slope if it's parallel, running in the same direction. It's going to be positive 5/4 if they are perpendicular, meeting at that right angle. Here, my slope is 2/3, so my parallel slope is also going to be 2/3. My perpendicular slope is going to be negative 3/2. Last one, my parallel slope is also going to be negative 3/7. My perpendicular is going to be positive 7/3. So the nice part is parallel exactly the same. Perpendicular is flip the fraction, and switch the sign. So opposite and reciprocal. All right, so now let's put it into use. So these first couple are all going to be parallel. So I know I can take whatever the slope is and take that exact same slope in my equation. So you can solve this in a couple of different ways. We know the slope. We know a point that it goes through. For me, the easiest way to do it is to put it in point and slope form. So I'm going to do y minus negative 2, which is really y plus 2, is equal to 1/2 times x minus x1, which is 4. Then we just do a little bit of math to solve it. So I get y plus 2 is equal to 1/2 x minus 2. I distributed that 1/2. And then I'm going to subtract my 2 from both sides. And I get y equals 1/2 x minus 4. Next one. Again, it's going to be parallel, but I got to put this in slope-intercept form. So I'm going to subtract my 9x from both sides and get 3y is equal to negative 9x plus 8. And I'm going to divide both sides by 3. And I get y is equal to negative 3x plus 8/3. Now, it has a little bit of a funky y-intercept, but we don't care. We just care that our line is going to be parallel to it, which means we need to take that same slope. So m is negative 3, but it's going to go through these points instead. So I put it in my point slope form. So y plus 4 equals negative 3 times x plus 1. Y plus 4 is equal to negative 3x minus 3, which is distributing. And then I'm going to subtract my 4 to both sides to get y by itself. And I get an answer of y is equal to negative 3x minus 7. So I'm taking the original slope, then plugging in my new point to find the equation of that new line. So same thing here, parallel, so we want the same slope as this line. Well, to be able to find the slope, I'm going to have to divide by 3 to get y by itself. Y is equal to 2/3 x minus 1. So my slope is 2/3, because I want to be parallel, but it's going to go through this point. So y minus 4 is equal to 2/3 times x plus 3. So y minus 4 is equal to 2/3 x plus 2. Again, we're distributing that 2/3. I'm going to add 4 to both sides, and I get y is equal to 2/3 x plus 6. That's my new equation. So since it's parallel, we know we're going to take the exact same slope. Sometimes I got to go find that slope. And then I'm going to plug in the point that it happens to pass through. All right, last part. Now we're going to deal with perpendicular. Same idea. We need to know the slope in order to change the sign and flip the fraction. And then we just find the equation of the line that goes through our new point. So for this one, my current slope is negative 1/3. So my new slope is going to be 3/1, and it's going to be positive. That's going to make it perpendicular. It's going to go through the point negative 2, negative 2. So y plus 2 is equal to 3 times x plus 2. So y plus 2 is equal to 3x plus 6. And I get y equals 3x plus 4. Here I'm going to add y to both sides. I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides to get the y by itself. So y is equal to x minus 5. That means my slope is currently 1. If I want to be perpendicular to it, it's going to be negative 1/1, which is really just negative 1. I'm going to plug it in with this set of points. So y minus 5 is equal to negative 1 times x plus 6. So y minus 5 is equal to negative x minus 6. Add my 5, and I get y equals negative x minus 1. All right, next one, same thing. Got to get it in slope-intercept form to find that slope. So y is equal to negative 4x plus 7. My current slope is negative 4, so my new slope Instead of negative, it's going to be positive. Instead of 4 over 1, it's going to become 1 over 4. So we're flipping the fraction and flipping the sign. It's going to go through the point -4, -3. So y plus 3 is equal to 1/4 times x plus 4. So y plus 3 is equal to 1/4 x plus 1. Subtract my 3, and I get y equals 1/4 x minus 2. That's my new equation. Last one. So I'm going to subtract my 3x from both sides, and I get 12y is equal to -3x minus 6. Divide everything by that 12, because it's got to be in slope-intercept form. I get y is equal to -1/4 x minus 1/2. 3/12 is the same thing as 1/4. So if my slope right now is -1/4, the slope of the perpendicular line is going to be positive 4 over 1, or 4. And I know it's going to go through the point -1, -7. So y plus 7 is equal to 4 times x plus 1. Again, if you like the other method where you plugged x and y and m all into the slope-intercept form and then just solved for b and then rewrote your equation, totally fine. For me, this just goes a little faster. So I get y plus 7 is equal to 4x plus 4. Solve for y to get it in slope-intercept form. And I get y equals 4x minus 3. So that's how we tackle parallel and perpendicular lines. Now it's your turn to practice.